All right. Here we go. So, hey, JP.
Yo.
Yeah, are you ready to talk about Peercoin?
Ready as I'll ever be. I guess.
All right. We'll talk about Peercoin right after this intro. Welcome to Nerd Stock Talk, where this is your home of nerds talking about stock. And this is part of our latest cryptocurrency series. We're going historically down, talking about different cryptocurrencies as they go. And tonight's topic is we're going to be talking about Peercoin.
Peercoin.
So Peercoin came out in 2012, and it is
Such a long time ago.
Such a long time ago. It is 9 years ago. And cryptocurrency ages, that is generations and generations.
Eons ago.
So Peercoin was the first proof of stake. Proof of stake. So JP, you are our resident cryptocurrency expert. You knew a lot about proof of work. You worked a lot in during the Bitcoin heyday when that first started. Yes.
Not so good at it when I was in high school, but I do okay in crypto.
You do okay in crypto. So do you want to talk to us a bit about, just kind of go into what exactly the difference is between proof of work versus proof of stake, and why do we think proof of stake is actually going to end up? I have some theories that proof of stake is going to end up starting to dominate the cryptocurrency field, especially with the ideas of energy use and stuff. But do you want to talk to us a bit about?
So proof of work, as we know, is the way Bitcoin functions. Your computer solves a bunch of problems, and then it presents it to the network and says, "Here's the solution," and the network says you win the transaction fee. And that's how Bitcoin mining works, and that's how Bitcoin miners make money.
Right.
Proof of stake is a little different in ways in which I don't fully and completely understand at this point. But essentially, what happens is everyone that has coins is working to solve those equations, and then there's sort of a raffle, a lottery for the transaction fee, and anyone who is working on solving those problems could win the transaction fee, so to speak.
Right. So, because basically, when you do your cryptocurrency, when you're doing the mining, the proof of work, you basically is like you work hard enough to, with your solving all those algorithms to make sure that you're able to get basically get some currency out of the deal.
Get some payback on your investment.
Right. And so, but then with proof of stake, is like you say, what you do is like you don't need you don't need a lot of energy. You don't need to have like a bank of computers running things for you. What it is that you buy a stake in the crypto, and then, as you said, it's like then what it is, then there's basically a randomization picks somebody to get awarded that coin, that currency, and then it reset, then it does it again. So how does that basically then is, we're seeing the stuff on the news is like these proof of stake coins, specifically Peercoin, was the very first one, the very first proof of stake coin that came out. Now, there's a lot of conversation about that we're going to see more coins, Peercoin, and some of these other proof of stake coins that we'll probably talking about in future weeks as we go through chronologically as we talk about our cryptocurrency. So that, from my understanding, it uses less energy, and this seems to be something that a lot of investors and a lot of people are looking at, saying this is probably going to be the future instead of mining.
Yeah. So from my understanding of it, and I could be wrong because I like I said, a very small understanding of how proof of stake works. But if you are holding some of these coins, whether it's Peercoin or Ethereum is moving to a proof of stake network, you stake them in a node in a centralized place. So you put your coins there, and those coins are actually the ones that are being used for the transactions. So they aren't really being moved. Your coins are being kind of loaned out and used to move money around. It's a lot less energy intensive for the network.
Right.
And in exchange for that, you're getting rewarded for staking your coins by the network and the transaction fees. The interesting thing about it is that it takes a decentralized concept and it sort of centralizes it, and those with the most coins staked get rewarded the most, which creates some interesting dynamics there and some questions about what the future of cryptocurrency is. Bitcoin, as you know, was sort of created out of the ashes of the 2008 financial crisis and the centralized banks and the Occupy Wall Street movement and such. And even back in 2012, when Peercoin was invented, it was recognized that Bitcoin was very energy intensive. That was the biggest drawback, is processing transactions takes about 10 minutes.
Right.
Proof of stake happens in under a minute because the coins aren't really going anywhere.
Right. Okay. And so this is, as you said earlier. So do you see? Is this something that you're looking at investing into? Any proof of stake currency now?
I think I'm going to invest a little bit of my Bitcoin Cash into. I'm going to split some off and invest in some Ethereum 2.0. Just because I think there are some pretty good uses for it that not all of them have been realized yet. But when you're talking about smart contracts and the Internet of Things and that sort of thing, I think proof of stake is really a much better way to go.
Right, and that was the other thing we mentioned earlier, as you mentioned earlier, that Ethereum just launched Ethereum 2.0 last year, and in order to kind of get into it, there's a list of how to start getting into the wait list, basically, on getting Ethereum 2.0. And Ethereum 2.0 is going to take Ethereum 1.0, which is a proof of work currency. They're going to merge them both in 2022 to make it all Ethereum 2.0 as a proof of stake. Ethereum's being smart because they're actually seeing this as probably the future of cryptocurrency. And I haven't heard anything about Bitcoin, or is there any Bitcoin family that is breaking off and doing a proof of stake version?
There are some scuttles about it in the Bitcoin Cash networks. I mean, as you know, Bitcoin Cash kind of split off of Bitcoin because of the transaction fee and the congestion that Bitcoin was seeing. And they're doing some pretty innovative stuff there. They've added smart contracts, and there's a bunch of little side chains off of Bitcoin Cash to do all these things that all these other coins do. So it's interesting, but it's not proof of stake.
Right.
No full-blown proof of stake that I know of.
Okay, good. So this is exciting. So I'm excited to see this. I'm looking at it on Coinbase. You can't get Peercoin. Peercoin seems as though it's kind of hard to find a buy right now. It's not listed to invest.
It's dusty. Yeah,
it's dusty.
Yeah,
but it's as we're going through this chronologically, it's so cool to as we talked about, Litecoin and then Namecoin and now Peercoin, that it's fun to see all these grandparents of the coins that are happening now. So It's pretty exciting. So next week we're going to be talking about the next one chronologically.
You guys aren't going to believe this.
You're not going to believe this. So we are going to be we are going to be talking about next week. We're going to pull this up so everybody can see this. Next week is going to be Dogecoin. So we are going to. I didn't realize Dogecoin is so old. I didn't realize. I thought it was more recent. But
yeah, that's why when Dogecoin kind of made a resurgence, it was started as a meme,
right?
And it was a big joke. And when it first came out, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And over the last year or two, when it actually started gaining some serious respect, it boggled my mind because it is set up to. I don't want to say it's set up to fail, but it's set up to be terrible. It was written to be an obnoxious take on cryptocurrencies and to illustrate why they're so terrible.
Right.
And it turns out it does a pretty good job of actually working as a cryptocurrency.
That's awesome. And so I would say, like, in summation, Peercoin was the first proof of stake. It's launched. It was green before its time. And meaning that it's the most energy efficient way to for cryptocurrency to be quote unquote mined, really, and it's in a way it's given it to Cardano and some of these other cryptocurrencies that have made it, that's kind of like planted their flag in the proof of stake. So it all started with Peercoin.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So let's jump in.
Peercoin for antiquity's sake.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go ahead and
Barney, years from now, I'm going to pull out an old Bitcoin wallet on an iPhone 4, and it'll be like finding some gold doubloons.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to jump into it. We're just going to talk real quickly about our last week's. What we're going to do is talk about our long picks, and then we're going to talk about how our picks are doing. So, I'm going to say, I thought you just ate a chicken. You ate a chicken nugget. Was that a? So let's just give everybody a little piece. We've been looking at our long picks. JP, Canoe is down it's up 2 points away because it was down 39% last week, and now it's only down 37%. So, but my 10 cents peaking back up. It's down only 4%. So what do you think? So you're saying there's something, there's a movement happening. You think the market's starting to right itself a bit?
Yeah. I think there was a big sell-off, some profit taking going on in the green energy sector, and it's starting to climb back. People are reinvesting, buying the dip, so to speak.
Right.
Interesting thing about Canoe is that it's one of the most heavily shorted stocks right now, for whatever reason. So as Canoe gains ground, it's really set up for a gamma squeeze in the next few weeks here. So we'll see what any positive news about Canoe is going to send it to the moon.
I'm excited to see that. Yeah, I'm excited because it's still pretty low. I think it's still around $9 a share or so.
Yeah, it tickled with 10 over the last week. But it's over 9 now. Yeah.
And 10 cent seems to be still hovering around between $77 a share to, as I say, it's not up to where it was. I don't know, 6 months ago, it was like $100 a share. So I think things are starting to right itself. It's starting to, as you say, it's as I think you're talking a couple of weeks ago, you kind of follow the track. Then you had those jumps and valleys, but you kind of follow the general trend, and it seems to be
200-day moving average is a good indicator to use to see if the stock is still on the uptrend.
Yeah, that's a good point. And let's look at how our last week's picks did. So Tuscan Holdings. You think it's because of that? You said that Tuscan Holdings is a A SPAC?
Yes, it's a merger acquisition company, and they're looking to acquire a battery company, and it looks like that's going to go through.
Okay.
And so this will be one of a handful of American lithium battery makers for automotives, for EVs. So connect the dots between this and whatever green infrastructure comes out of the infrastructure bill. This is a stock that's really set up to fly.
Wow, that's good. Yeah, and I'm trying to get out of my Viacom CBS, gutted me. So I'm waiting for that to go back up so I can sell those one, and hopefully the Tuscan Holdings kind of, because that went up. That's pretty high for 1 week. That's like almost 20%. So
yeah, I don't expect it'll stay there over the next week, but
yeah,
maybe.
All right. So wow. So this is it. So people, we're going to be talking about what we're looking at for next week. So this is what Kyle has been waiting for. So Kyle, I hope you're paying attention, because here's our next week's picks. All right, next week's picks. So
don't show them just yet.
Okay. All right.
Okay, now you can.
So what are we looking at for next week? JP, you're looking. This is JP Realty. It's like I got to. What Realty Income? Talk to us about that. What is that?
Realty Income is a real estate REIT that I have dabbled with over the years. I'm really looking at any real estate stocks right now, just because of inflation being on the horizon, probably already here. If you look at the price of things, the government probably is not, I shouldn't say the government, the Federal Reserve is probably not going to admit that printing money for the last 5 years almost uninhibitedly may cause inflation. They don't want to say that, because that means bad for things for the economy. But if that were to happen, real estate is traditionally the best place to hedge your investments there to protect from that.
I got some real estate, because when we talked about the REITs, the REITs, when we talked about that a few episodes ago, I decided to buy into some real estate stocks and some REITs, and it doesn't jump. Like I say, it's not volatile like your normal business stocks. It's a slow climb. You'll gain, if you're lucky, 5% return on investment in a year. If you're lucky.
If you're really lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a slow climb. It's basically, think of it not so much as an investment, but more like a high yield savings account more than anything else. So,
but if inflation really does start to take hold and interest rates are raised, these stocks are going to become they're going to start to look a lot like the green energy stocks of last year. So
yeah. Well, which would be good. I'm looking at Upwork. So I want to just say this is my first post-pandemic stock pick that I think is going to be positively affected by post-pandemic United States right now. So Upwork is basically a platform for companies to find and hire freelancers and contractors, contracting work. So I think what we're going to see is, like, in the short term, you're going to see people who are needing to fill those seats, needing to find some work to happen, and nobody's buying, no one's picking up the jobs. So Upwork is the platform that seems to be going on the rise in the last couple of weeks, and I think it's going to continue. I'm going to say Upwork is going to continue to go up for the next. I think Upwork is going to continue to go up for the next. I'm going to say a good month before it might kind of dip back down and even up to something. And because I would say once the economy gets back full steam and people are back to work, it'll probably go back down. But it's a good time. This is a good time for me to look at putting money into Upwork. So
it'll be interesting to see what the stock market does once everything is fully reopened. I think there's plays to make.
I think, like I said, I think we're going to see less Zoom and your all your work from home stock.
Shorting Zoom is on my mind right now.
Yeah. I would say these things are going to be going down. These things are going to be going down. You're going to see a lot of, as we say, your green energy stuff. That's your really good long-term investments on stuff like that. All that stuff is going to be like you said, your lithium batteries, as you said, some of your clean energy stocks. Those are going to be the ones that are going to come back into focus. And but yeah, so great. So this is good. So hey, JP. So
yeah.
These are what we're looking at next week.
Next week, yep.
Next week, we're going to be talking about Dogecoin. We're going to have an action-packed, and the market's coming back. So we're going to have a lot of things to talk about.
If you ever wanted to tune into this show, next week's going to be the time to do it.
It's going to be a penultimate, probably. We'll probably have musical guests on next week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for everybody for tuning in. Remember, make sure you like and you subscribe and you follow us. And we're always here Sundays.
Send us gifts.
Yes. So,
can you put the fan mail address?
There we go. Right there. There you go. So nerdstocktalk@storycomic.com. Questions, comments, hygiene tips. We'll take it all. So we'll see there. So until then, JP. We will see you next week.
We will. I'll see you next week too.
All right, good.